Good morning, sports fans, and welcome to another episode of Instant Replay, North Georgia's only online live sports show. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, and glad to be here today for another beautiful Monday morning and excited to talk about high school sports updates from over the week and then, of course, over the weekend. Now, we had several big games this week as many of the teams we cover in football were playing each other. So as we go through those highlights, we'll be talking about both teams at the same time, obviously. And then also we have softball and volleyball to wrap up our show. We're not going to leave out these hardworking ladies as they are out there playing hard and putting in the work as well. So I'm very excited to go through and mention and highlight these young athletes. That's what we do here at Team FYN Sports. We're always highlighting and promoting young athletes in a positive way. So we are going to kick off with our football highlights from this weekend and go from there. So we're going to start off with the Pickens Dragons and White County Warriors game this Friday night. And it was actually homecoming for the Warriors, and they were able to celebrate with a big win, 27-20 over the Dragons. Now with this game and several others, as I mentioned, since we had a bunch of teams that were playing each other this past Friday, we're going to be going through their highlights at the same time. Now, to put it as our White County Warriors reporter Carson Finley said, the Warriors won in a back-and-forth thriller. Last year, White County lost to the Dragons twice, once in the regular season and then once again in the playoffs. So they were able to get a little bit of a comeback there with this game on Friday night. But Pickens took the lead earlier into the game, 15 seconds in to be exact, when Jared Whitmore returned the opening kickoff for a Dragons touchdown. But the Warriors answered with a 52-yard passing touchdown from quarterback Jabin Haynes to Jesse Thomas. Whitmore scored again for Pickens after Haynes threw an interception caught by Dragon Michael Hand during the next Warrior drive. Whitmore would score once more for the Dragons during this drive to take the lead back 13-7. But Haynes redeemed himself shortly after with another passing touchdown to Cooper Turner this time. The Dragons started off the second quarter by claiming another interception, this one by T.C. Jarrett. A third rushing touchdown from Whitmore to reclaim the lead for the Dragons by a score of 20-14. The Warriors started to run into some problems trying to get past the Dragons' defense and losing yards due to penalties, but they were able to get it together late into the second quarter when Haynes returned a rush for 49 yards and another touchdown. White County reclaimed the lead to go into the half, 21-20. So some of you out there this Friday may have experienced this inconvenience, we'll call it, rain. And the Warriors and Dragons experienced it as well with their game on Friday night. Midway through the third quarter, the skies opened up and it started pouring. Fans headed for their cars, but both teams took it in stride and continued to put in great effort. The second half was a display of defensive strength for both teams. The Warriors' Cooper Turner scored but had it called back after a holding penalty. Otherwise, it was punting practice that each team held back the other and was forced to punt on fourth down. The Dragons had a big moment as Haynes threw his third interception of the game. This one was caught by Jay Jones. The rain subsided halfway through the fourth quarter, and the biggest play of the game for the Warriors came with only 2 minutes left when quarterback C.J. Stryker for the Dragons came under pressure from the Warriors defenders and the ball came loose. Junior defender Jesse Moose for the Warriors scooped it up and ran it all the way back into the end zone to put the Warriors ahead at the very end, 27-20. Now the Dragons were able to get another shot on offense after the defense played hard and stopped the Warriors at 4 and out. Unfortunately, the Dragons fell short and weren't able to score again, giving the White County Warriors that final victory of 27-20. So congratulations to the Warriors on winning on homecoming, but we also hate it for the Dragons because here at Team FYN Sports, like I said, we're always highlighting and promoting young athletes in a positive way. So we always want to give a shout out to both teams for playing hard. And this was definitely a game where, reading this recap, I'm sure you all can hear that both teams were out there putting in big effort, especially with defense in the second half of the game, even with the weather acting like it was. And surprisingly, there was no delay of game with that weather over there, and they were able to get the full game in. So White County will be hitting the road next week to play rivals, the North Hall Trojans. We also want to say congratulations to Jesse Moose, number 24 for the Warriors, for being named this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for White County. Now, you're listening to this recap, so obviously you know why Jesse deserved this award. He recovered a fumble to run back for 80 yards to secure White County's victory over the Dragons. So congratulations, Jesse, on this big play and for being named this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for the White County Warriors. Now, Pickens will have the home field advantage next week as they host the Chamblee Bulldogs. We want to say congratulations also to TC Jarrett for being named this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for the Pickens Dragons. I pulled this quote directly from our Pickens reporter, RJ Casey's article, quote, Jarrett was part of a Dragons defense that forced 3 interceptions against White County on Friday night. Jarrett collected one of those interceptions and made several big tackles as well. After allowing 21 points in the first half, the Dragons defense really buckled down in the second half, only allowing 6 points during the second half. Jarrett has certainly stepped up in his role on defense and as a leader for the Dragons. So definitely this is another award that is well-deserved, and congratulations to TC Jarrett. Now, I want to remind everyone again that I am reading highlights from our articles that are from our Team FYN Sports Writers, from Carson Finley over in the White County Warriors, and also from RJ Casey over for the Pickens Dragons. But I want to remind everyone that you can go online to our website. It is FetchYourNews.com, and at the top you will see across all the counties that we cover, and you can look at Pickens or White County depending on who you support. You can click on those tabs there and then click on Team FYN Sports and be able to find all of our full game recaps, as well as our Player of the Week articles that you can share on social media. Now, also, you don't want to miss every Tuesday night, we have Pickens Power Half Hour, hosted by our very own Dave Garner, who I miss having on the show here with me. But Dave will be hosting the Pickens Power Half Hour over at the Pickens Fieldhouse, and we always have head coach Jeff Nelson as well as an assistant coach. And we have 4 Pickens Dragons players there as well to contribute on the show. So you definitely don't want to miss this show every Tuesday night starting at 7 p.m. broadcasted live on FYNTV.com. It's a little bit different from our other shows. We broadcast this show on FYNTV.com instead of our Facebook show. So make a note of that, and also make a note not to miss out on Pickens Power Half Hour. Dave does an awesome job, as he does with everything else, and you definitely do not want to miss this show with all of the other Pickens Dragons on there as well. So we're going to wrap it up there with our Pickens Dragons and White County Warriors football highlights. And again, you know, good luck to both of these teams as they continue their season. Now we're going to move right along here with our football game recaps right into Lumpkin County, where the Indians hosted the Gilmer Bobcats on Friday night. It turned out to be a big night for the Indians as they pulled off their first win of the season, 29-21. Close game there over the Gilmer Bobcats. It was also the first win for head coach Caleb Sorrells in his new role as head coach, and also his first time ever as a head coach. So I want to say congratulations to Coach Sorrells, the coaching staff, and the Indians football team. There was a lot of celebrating going on after the game, and since it was home, you know, it was even more of a reason to celebrate. So again, congratulations to the Lumpkin County Indians. Now the Bobcats also played hard, especially on defense, and they also answered most of the Indians' touchdowns. As I said, it was a close game, and for a while there, you know, the Indians would score and then the Bobcats would score. The Bobcats would score, and then the Indians would score. So it was back and forth there for a little bit. Now, unfortunately, the Bobcats were they struggled a little bit on defense after the loss of 2 of their starting linebackers, so we wish for a speedy recovery for those 2 injured players. But to get started with our highlights from the game, the Indians scored on their first drive after a 10-yard carry by running back Drew Allison and went up 7-0 in the first quarter. Lumpkin County held Gilmer during their next drive to a quick 4-and-out, but were hit with some penalties during their next possession, that's for the Indians, that prevented them from scoring. The Bobcats got in the red zone during their next possession and capped the drive off with a 2-yard carry by Spencer Smith to tie the game up. Running back Bojack Dowdy for the Indians broke through the line and carried for 54 yards for the next touchdown. The Indians got in field goal range right before the half, and with a successful attempt went into the half with a 16-7 lead over the Bobcats. Coming out of the half, the Bobcats fumbled and the Lumpkin County Indians took over. They were held to 4-and-out and forced to punt. The Bobcats offense went to work and scored with a play-action fake by Spencer Smith to score 6. Adolfo Bautista's kick was good, and the Bobcats were closing in on the Indians by a score of 16-14. But the Indians answered shortly after with another touchdown, this one a 3-yard carry by Dowdy, and Gilmer County went to work to score another touchdown. Like I said, it was back and forth for a lot of this game. Running back Gray McClure took off for 50 yards to get inside the Lumpkin County 5-yard line, and Smith carried in for his third touchdown of the night to make the score 23-21. The Indians scored once more during their final drive of the night, finishing it off with a touchdown carry from none other than Bojack Dowdy. The point attempt was blocked, displaying the good effort by the Gilmer Bobcats, but the Indians still came out on top at the very end, 29-21, after they were able to run the clock out. So congratulations again to the Indians on their first victory, and although this was a tough loss for the Bobcats, also want to give them a shout out for going full force throughout the entire game. They didn't give up even when they were behind and putting together enough drives to keep them in the game. Like I said, once more, close game there, 29-21, and the Bobcats were closing in there for a little bit, and I was at this game covering it for the Indians, and like I said, good effort by the Bobcats, and they got close a couple of times, so it was really anybody's game in this game, but the Indians came out on top. Now, looking ahead, the Lumpkin County Indians are going into a bye week before kicking off their region play against Dawson County on the 27th. Now, one thing I want to mention is that we are already on week 5 of high school football, which is hard to believe because that means that we are already almost halfway through the football season for high school, and that's just hard to believe. Time needs to slow down a little bit, in my opinion, but you can't stop it. So everyone is going to be kicking off their region schedule pretty soon here, and the Lumpkin County Indians are one example of that, as they will host the Tigers next Friday night. I want to also give a shout out to Bojack Dowdy, running back number 35 for the Indians, for being named this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for the Lumpkin County Indians, which means he was also my Player of the Week for the Lumpkin County Indians. Dowdy rushed for 166 yards over 22 carries and scored 3 of the 4 touchdowns for the Indians. So congratulations, Bojack. This award is definitely well-deserved for you. The Gilmer Bobcats, to look ahead to their schedule, they are also going into a bye week this week before hosting their rivals, the Pickens County Dragons, on the 27th. I also want to give a shout-out and congratulations to this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for Gilmer running back Gray McClure. Gray had several great carries for gains of yardage throughout the entire game, including a big 50-yard carry to get the Bobcats deep in Indian territory. This drive also led to a touchdown, so congratulations, Gray. Another award well-deserved. All of our awards that we give to Player of the Weeks for the different counties that we cover are always well-deserved, so congratulations again to these athletes. Now, fans, you also want to make a note that tonight at 7 o'clock, live on Team FYN Sports Facebook page, will be Gilmer Turf Talk. Richie Stone, who is also our sideline reporter for the Bobcats, will be hosting this show, and he will have Coach Kevin Saunders on there, as well as possibly some of the players from the Gilmer Bobcats football team. So you definitely want to tune into that. Don't want to miss it. Always a good time there, and Richie does an awesome job with that as well. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up with our highlights from the Lumpkin County Indians and Gilmer Bobcats football game. And we're going to go ahead and also take a break, and when we come back, we'll be continuing with our high school football game recaps, and we will go from there. So you don't want to miss any of it. We're having a great time here. I'm having a great time, and hope that you're all having a good time as well, tuning in here to Instant Replay. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, and we will be right back.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Hi everyone, Dave Garner here. You might know me as a regular contributor to Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay, but did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative? My job is to make sure that families are protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement. I want to make sure that you leave your loved ones with memories, not expenses. Call me today to find out how I can help you to not outlive your money and that your money outlives you. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Welcome back, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Instant Replay. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. Having a good time here as always, going through some football highlights from this past weekend. A lot of good games in the area, and a lot of teams played each other, where in that situation, we covered both teams that played each other. So as I've been going through the highlights, I've also been mentioning, both teams at the same time, so I hope that I don't confuse anyone. Lonnie, if you want to go ahead and put up the social media card, I will tell people how they can find all of our other media and updates as well. So you see that social media card there. If you are watching this show live, you are already on our Facebook page. It is Team FYN Sports, which thank you again for joining us today. And go ahead and give that page a like whenever you get done watching the show or whenever we go to our next break, because you definitely don't want to miss all of the updates, media, coaches' interviews, game recaps that we share on there. I mean, we have so many different things that we post on there on a daily basis. So you definitely don't want to miss out on any of that. So go ahead and give it a like whenever you get a chance. And then also we have Twitter and Instagram handles. Both are the same. It's at Team FYN Sports because we like to keep it simple here. You definitely want to follow those as well so you can get live game updates. Now when I say live game updates, I mean that we live tweet them and everything from the sidelines. So you don't want to miss any of that. And then also on our YouTube channel, we will upload our coaches' interviews. So we try to keep it consistent. We try to post things across the board, but we definitely also upload those coaches' interviews and video highlights, any sort of video that we get, we will put on there. And it's FYN TV, Fetch Your News. So go ahead and go get on that as well whenever you get a moment, and then also subscribe to that as well so you can stay totally in the loop with us. And then also, I always like to mention that if you have a favorite athlete or if you have a team you really want to give a shout out to, shoot us an email there, teamfynsports@FetchYourNews.com. I get all of those so I can see them, and you may even get your shout out featured on the show. So definitely go for that whenever you get a chance. Now we're going to pick back up with the Union County Panthers and Fannin County Rebels game that was hosted in Blue Ridge by the Rebels on Friday night. Now, I mentioned this last week. This game was a big one between two teams that were both 2-0 and both have incredible athletes on both of their sidelines. And the Panthers ended up coming out on top with a win 33-14 after a great effort from both teams. Union County scored first towards the start of a game to go ahead 7-0, then scored again before the half to lead 13-0. The Rebels came back out ready to play and kicked up their passing game. Unfortunately for the Rebels, quarterback Luke Holloway threw an interception that was returned for another Panther touchdown. A lot happened during this game during the fourth quarter. Fannin County doubled down with their offense and scored twice in the fourth quarter, once at the 8:54 mark and then again with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left to play, and got within a touchdown of the Panthers. Union County responded immediately with a 55-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Pearson Allison to Kyle Morlock and went up 26-14. Another interception for the Panthers gave them the ball back, and they scored their last touchdown of the night with a 32-yard touchdown carry by Jonah Daniel. Now again, since this was a big game with a rivalry between the two teams, I want to share some stats that our Team FYN Sports reporters were able to get. So senior quarterback for the Panthers, Pearson Allison, threw for 230 yards with 4 touchdowns and completed 14 passes out of 24 attempts. He also gained 34 yards rushing. Other stats for the Panthers included 159 yards rushing with a touchdown for senior running back Jonah Daniel, 86 yards receiving with 2 touchdown catches for senior Kyle Morlock, 69 yards receiving and a touchdown for junior Mason McCombs, and 48 yards with a touchdown catch for senior Sawyer Drake. Great plays on defense included interception by Sloan Sutton and Josh Orr, as well as a sack from Sutton along with juniors Aaron Helton and Clayton Lester getting a sack as well. Now for the Rebels, and you're watching a little bit of game highlight there from Jill Holloway, so I want to say thank you to Mrs. Holloway, that is quarterback Luke Holloway's mother, for sending us those highlights. Junior quarterback, for the Rebels, Luke Holloway threw for 142 yards and completed 13 passes out of 22 attempts. He also carried for one of the Rebels' touchdowns. On offense, junior Traylon Owensby rushed for 121 yards and carried for 1 touchdown. There were 100 yards receiving by Kahutta Hyde, and Will Mosley rushed for 57 yards. There were also great plays on defense by Will Mosley, Jacob Tuggle, and Micah O'Neill. So the two Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week that I want to mention for the Union and Fannin players were Pearson Allison for the Panthers and Jacob Tuggle for the Rebels. So congratulations to these two for being named for these awards. And great game for both of these teams. Unfortunately, the Rebels fell a little bit short and the Panthers were able to come out on top. And again, I want to say, these are two great teams. They're going to continue to do great things. You're hearing the stats there. They're both going to continue to play hard, undoubtedly, as they go on into region play. And speaking of which, the Panthers will face region opponent Monticello at home this Friday night, and the Rebels will head to Chestatee to face off with the War Eagles this coming Friday night. So definitely still good games ahead. We are halfway through the season, everyone, which is hard to believe, and everyone is starting to get into their region play, and time just needs to slow down, in my opinion, but, can't control it. You just got to roll with it. Now, the Union Panthers and the Fannin Rebels each have their own sports shows. So tonight at 6 o'clock, we've been changing the times up a little bit. At 6 o'clock, we'll be broadcasting live Panther playback from the Circuit World of Blairsville, and I will be hosting that show. We will have, hopefully, head coach Brian Allison will be able to join us tonight, and then we will have one assistant coach along with several players from the Union County Panthers team, and we will be talking about this game from Friday night, and then we will also be looking forward to the Monticello game this Friday night. And then also, the FYN Rebels have their own sports show on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, broadcasted live on our Team FYN Sports Facebook page. And I will also be hosting that show this Wednesday night, filling in for BKP as he is out of town. And so you definitely don't want to miss these shows. Great athletes on both teams. Both have incredible athletic ability. So you don't want to miss these shows, and you don't want to miss out what we have talking about. You know, we're going to be recapping these games, talking about what these players are going to be continuing to work on as they go on into region play. So definitely mark your calendar so you don't miss out on these shows. Now we're going to wrap it up with the Union County Panthers highlights and the Fannin County Rebels highlights and move over into Dawson County territory, where it was a victory on the road for the Tigers as they took on the West Hall Spartans and pulled it off 34-0 after 3 quarters of play when the rain interrupted and the game was called short. The Tigers were in great scoring position to start off their first drive and took full advantage of it. So they came out running right out of the gate. The drive ended in a 6-yard touchdown carry by Sean Thomas less than 3 minutes into the game. The Dawson County defense went all in, tackling the West Hall punter after a bad snap and taking over on the Spartans' 12-yard line. Unfortunately, they were unable to score like last time and settled for a field goal to go ahead 10-0. It didn't take long for the Tigers to regain possession, and they scored again during their next possession with a 26-yard touchdown run by Isaiah Grindle. Kicker Caleb Bonesteel, who was this week's Team FYN Sports Writers Player of the Week for Dawson County, kicked a beautiful kick return that spun back onto the field from near the goal line and set the Spartans up deep into their own territory. Quarterback Zacchaeus Holtzclaw for the Tigers had a great play in their next possession with a 33-yard pass to Jason Gibson for a first down. Thomas would get in the end zone shortly after to put the Tigers ahead 24-0. The Spartans got into Tiger territory during their next drive, but the Tigers' Maximus Moon sacked the quarterback twice to get them out of field goal range. With the Tigers back on offense, Holtzclaw got a passing touchdown, this one for 23 yards to Hunter Barron to finish the half. Coming out of the half, the Tigers recovered a Spartan fumble and got within field goal range to finish the game 34-0. Now, like I said, at this point was when the skies opened up and it started to pour. So, unfortunately, the game was cut short in the third quarter. But the Tigers should be able to get in a full game this Friday night when they take on the Denmark Danes, and they will host them at home. So good luck to the Tigers as they continue their games as they host the Denmark Danes. Now, this was also a good game for the Tigers, you know, really sort of a game where, you know, they were able to get right out of the gate and were able to hold the Spartans on defense as well, and were able to get that big win there. So the Tigers are a team that they lost a lot of seniors last season, and so they're a relatively young team, but they've been playing well so far into their season. So I definitely believe that they're going to continue to play great, and I personally will be seeing them when they take on Lumpkin County in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to finish up with our Dawson County Tigers highlights, and I want to say thank you to our sideline reporter, Noah Rubin, for getting those highlights to us. And I believe I forgot to mention in the last highlight for the Union County Panthers and the Fannin County Rebels, our sideline reporters, James Wolf for the Panthers and Reagan Young for the Rebels. So thank you to both of them for getting us those highlights and those stats as well. So I had to back up there for a minute because I didn't want to leave anybody out. But we're going to wrap it up with our Georgia football teams, and we're going to move on over into our North Carolina sports teams, where we are going to recap the Murphy Bulldogs game against Christ School. Now, unfortunately, the Bulldogs fell in this very tough game, 27-7. The Bulldogs scored during their first possession after a pass from quarterback Kellen Rumfeld to Justice Dorsey to set up running back Devontae Murray for a 43-yard touchdown carry. So they scored pretty early on into the game there. The Murphy defense played hard and was able to keep Christ School's passing game mostly in check, forcing them to rely primarily on their running game. But again, the Bulldogs couldn't quite pull off a win, so they will be looking for a win when they host Life Christian Academy next Friday night, at David Gentry Field in Murphy, North Carolina. Now, you all may know about every Thursday night we have our NC Sports Report, Smoky Mountain Conference Report, broadcasted live on our Team FYN Sports page, where we have the one and only J.R. Carroll, who is the voice of the Murphy Bulldogs, and also the one and only Scott Fletcher, voice of the Andrews Wildcats, come on the show. And this show is a little bit different from our Georgia sports show. This is a call-in show. And last week, the guys actually had a big caller call in, Heath Schuler, legendary quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers, and then also played in the NFL. His son, Navy, was playing for the Christ School against the Murphy Bulldogs last Friday night, so they had him in on the show. So that was a sort of star-studded call-in show there. And you don't want to miss this show either, because these guys do a really great job, and they know everything there is to know about the Smoky Mountain Conference. So if you are a Western North Carolina football fan, you most definitely want to tune in to this show. And again, I will be hosting this show Thursday night. I have a great time with these guys. We have fun getting on there and talking about some football. Doesn't get any better than that. Now we are going to wrap it up with our high school football recaps. And when we come back from our next break, we are going to be finishing it up with some highlights from the Mountain Football League games this past Saturday, and then we will go on into our softball and our volleyball recaps. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will be continuing our sports recaps from the week and from the weekend, and we'll go from there. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. Thank you for joining us again on this beautiful Monday morning.
At Ingalls, we have a very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best. And we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls, your neighbor for over 50 years.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
The year-end clearance is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and that means our biggest savings of the entire year are right now. Like over $13,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or more than $7,000 off new Chevy Colorados. Every 2019 Chevy model has our deepest discounts of the year, so save big right now during the year-end clearance at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys always cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, Stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Hi everyone, Dave Garner here. You might know me as a regular contributor to Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay, but did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative? My job is to make sure that families are protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement. I want to make sure that you leave your loved ones with memories, not expenses. Call me today to find out how I can help you to not outlive your money and that your money outlives you. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Instant Replay. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. Glad to be here, as always, as we've been going through these football highlights from our local North Georgia and then Western North Carolina teams as well. We've been talking about the different sports shows that we also have throughout the week. And while we're on that subject, if you're on this page right now watching the show live, then you are already on our Facebook page, Team FYN Sports. So whenever you get done watching the show or we go to our next break, go ahead and give this page a like because you're here, so you might as well, right? But also, we post a lot of updates on our Facebook page on a daily basis, everything from pictures to game recaps to coaches interviews. So you definitely want to go and give us a like so you can stay in the loop with all of that. Now also, we have Twitter and Instagram. Twitter we use to tweet out the scores and updates from the game when we're on the sidelines. And then Instagram we use to also post our game recaps, and then we'll do some cool stuff with our Instagram story as well. So go and give those a like and a follow as well. Now, we also post our different video media on our YouTube channel. So after this show is over broadcasting live, we will go and upload that to YouTube as well. It's FYN TV at FetchYourNews, and we do that with all of our shows. We do that with this show as well as our sports shows as well, and we create a playlist for all of those so you can go back and watch them together. You can binge watch them. I don't know. But then also, finally, if you have a special athlete or your favorite team that you want to give a shout out to, you can send us an email there to teamfynsports@fetchyournews.com. I get all of those emails, so I will look at them, and you may even get a chance to get featured on our show if I give those highlights a read. So definitely go and do that if you feel like, whenever you get a moment. Now, we finished up with our high school football recaps in the last segment, but before we get completely off of football, I want to give a shout out to the teams that won in this weekend's Mountain Football League games. So in the 6U age group, Lumpkin, Fannin, Pickens, and White County won their games. In the 7U age group, the Fannin Rebels, Chestatee War Eagles, and White County Warriors won their games. In the 8U age group, Fannin and Pickens won their games. In the 9U group, the Gilmer Bobcats won in the game of the week against the Fannin County Rebels. Union also won their game, as did the White County Warriors and East Hall Vikings in double overtime. Pretty impressive for a 9U team. In the 10U age group, Chestatee, White County, Dawson, and Gilmer teams won their games. And then to wrap it up, the 11U Pickens and Gilmer teams won their games. So congratulations to the winners of all of these teams in Week 2 of Mountain Football League play. And then we will continue to follow these teams as they go on throughout the season. And then also we will be broadcasting live the Super Bowl on November 9th from White County High School. So definitely stay tuned for updates for that as well. Now we are wrapping it up with football, and we're going to move on over into softball. We want to give these hardworking ladies a shout out for all of the work that they are putting in throughout the week. Starting with White County, the White County softball team went 1-3 this past week with a loss after 10 innings to the Lumpkin County Lady Indians and a loss to Dawson County later in the week. The Warriors defeated North Hall. This coming week, they have 2 games scheduled against region rival West Hall, so good luck to these ladies over in the White County softball team. In Dawson County, the Dawson County Tigers split their record 1-1 this week with a loss to Lumpkin County and then bouncing back to defeat White County later in the week. This coming week, they will face Chestatee along with region opponents Cherokee Bluff and North Hall. Wishing luck to the Lady Tigers, or excuse me, they're actually just the Tigers. Wishing luck to the Tigers over in the Dawson County softball team. In Lumpkin County, the Lady Indians softball team won games against White County and Dawson County. They fell in their last game of the week against East Hall, but will have an opportunity to bounce back in games against Madison County, Greater Atlanta Christian, and Cherokee Bluff this coming week. So good luck to the Lady Indians as they continue their play. Fans, I want to say I was at the Lumpkin County-Dawson County game this week, and you can find the full game recap on our website. If you go to FetchYourNews.com, at the top of the page, you'll see all the counties that we cover. You can click on either Lumpkin County or Dawson County or another county, depending on who you're looking for. And then you can click on Team FYN Sports once it takes you to that county's main webpage, and you can find game recaps as well as Player of the Week articles for football on there as well. I want to give a shout out to catcher Natalie Schubert for the Lady Indians for her out of the park home run to help get the Lady Indians their victory over the Tigers. There was great effort from both the Lady Indians and the Tigers. This was a fairly close game. I believe the final score was 4-2. And I've loved going out to cover these ladies as they put in so much hard work and time. And I plan on getting out there to cover them some more as the season comes to a close. So definitely be on the lookout for those game recaps as well. So that's why you want to go follow our social media accounts. Just saying. So over in Pickens County, this past week, the Lady Nets split their record 1-1 with a loss against Lafayette to start off the week, then coming back with a victory against Southeast Whitfield County to finish it off. The Lady Nets are scheduled to take on rival Gilmer at home this week. Good luck to the Lady Nets softball team as they host their rivals, the Gilmer Bobcats. But they do have the home field advantage, so there you go. Now, speaking of rivals, the Gilmer Bobcats softball team took on Ridgeland and Lafayette this past week. Unfortunately, they fell in both games, but this coming week they will take on Northwest Whitfield, Union County, and Pickens to look for a comeback. Good luck to these young women as they continue their season. Now, in Fannin County, the Fannin County Lady Rebels softball team fell in both of their games this past week against East Hall and Cherokee Bluff. They will be looking for a win in a region game against North Hall and Rabun County. And then to finish off our softball game recaps, the Union County softball team started their week off with a hard loss against Banks County, but they came back to win in their second game against Oglethorpe County. They have a busy week this coming week with games against Madison County, Rabun County, and Gilmer. So best of luck to the Union County Panthers softball team as they continue this season. So definitely, I like giving these softball highlights because we don't want to leave any of these hardworking young women out as they are out there putting in the effort and continuing their season. And we're going to go ahead and take our final break. And when we come back, we will wrap it up with our volleyball highlights. So definitely stick around, all of you volleyball fans, so you don't miss any of this. Don't go anywhere. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, and you are watching Instant Replay.
At Ingalls, we have a very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best. And we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls, your neighbor for over 50 years.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
The year-end clearance is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and that means our biggest savings of the entire year are right now. Like over $13,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or more than $7,000 off new Chevy Colorados. Every 2019 Chevy model has our deepest discounts of the year, so save big right now during the year-end clearance at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys always cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining me today on this week's episode of Instant Replay. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, and like I said, I always have a great time on here. I love my job, getting up every Monday morning and coming in to talk about sports. I mean, it really doesn't get much better than that, especially if you're like me and you're a huge sports fan. So we've been going over our local high school updates from the week as far as football, softball, and then we're going to get into volleyball in just a minute. And then also updating everyone on the Mountain Football League Week 2 updates on who won in the second week of play. And at Team FYN Sports, we are always highlighting and promoting young athletes in a positive way. That is what we strive to do here, especially here on Instant Replay, and then also within all of Team FYN Sports as a whole. That is our utmost priority. So we hope that you all feel that way. We love to get in there and we love to talk about these athletes, you know, what they're doing on the field and what they're doing off the field as far as being an excellent excellent with their grades, if they're involved in other clubs, if they have leadership positions. So that's what we do here at Team FYN Sports. And we thank you for your support, for viewing our articles, and for commenting, and for all of the positive compliments that you give to us whenever we're out reporting as well. So thank you for that, and we plan to continue to strive for highlighting and promoting young athletes in a positive way. So we're going to wrap up our high school sports recaps with volleyball, and starting with White County. The White County Warriors volleyball team had a busy week last week with 4 matches against Marist, West Hall, East Hall, and Union County. They fell against Marist but defeated Union County, and we don't have scores for the other games at this time. This week, the Warriors will host Madison County, so good luck to them as they continue their season. Over in Dawson County, the Dawson County Tigers volleyball team won both of their games this past week against region opponents East Hall and Fannin. They have a busy week ahead this coming week with games against Union County, Athens Christian, Alcovy, Habersham Central, and Stevens County. So I want to wish a great and safe week to these ladies as they continue their season. In Lumpkin County, the Lumpkin County volleyball team split their record 1-1 this past week with a win against Union County, followed by a loss to Habersham Central. They will start this coming week off with region games against North Hall and Fannin County, then finish it up with a non-region game against West Hall. In Pickens, the Pickens volleyball team finished up a busy week last week with losses to Northwest, Whitfield, and Cherokee, unfortunately. This week, they will have a chance to bounce back with games against Gilmer, Cass, and Cedartown. So good luck to the ladies of the Pickens volleyball team. In Gilmer, the Gilmer Bobcats volleyball team lost to Lafayette in a region game this past week, but came back for a win against Lakeview Academy. This coming week, they face Sonoraville and rival Pickens. So good luck to the Gilmer volleyball team as well. In Fannin, the ladies of the Fannin County volleyball team had a great week this past week, going 3 out of 4, so winning 3 out of their 4 games. The wins were against East Hall, Calhoun, and Rockmart. This coming week, the Rebels will face North Hall, Lumpkin County, Ringgold, and Southeast Whitfield County. So good luck to these ladies as they continue to play hard out there. And then to wrap it up with volleyball, with the Union County Panthers, the Union County volleyball team went through a tough week this past week with losses to Hayesville, Lumpkin County, and White County. This coming week, they will be looking for a win in several non-region games. So good luck to these ladies as they continue their season as well, and we will be following all of these teams as far as football, softball, and volleyball across the board as they continue their season. So if you have any highlights from this game, unfortunately a lot of times we don't get to get reporters out to all of the games. If you have highlights that you want to send in to us, definitely go ahead and do that. And you can do that by sending it to our email as teamfynsports@FetchYourNews.com. And at the end of this segment, as we wrap up the show, we'll put our social media card back up there so you all can see that email. If you have highlights, or maybe you want to give a shout out to your favorite athlete or your favorite team, you can send all of that in to us as well. We love to hear from you guys out there that are watching our show, so definitely don't be afraid to reach out and give us some highlights or some shout outs, and we will share that on the show as well. Now, we are finished with our high school recaps for the week, and many of you know that college football is in full swing as well, and I'm sure many of you were keeping up with the Georgia Bulldogs this week as they had a huge win over over Arkansas State. I'm sorry, Murray was the previous weekend, but they had a big win over Arkansas State as well this past weekend, and they will remain in the number 3 spot in the top 25 college football. Now, Clemson and Alabama are still clinching their spots, Clemson being at number 1 and Alabama at number 2. We have LSU coming in at number 4, and then Oklahoma staying at number 5, and that is the top 5 for the AP college football rankings. Now, really the movement that I want to talk about briefly is Florida moving up, and I'm a big Georgia Bulldog fan, so I'm not crazy about the Florida Gators, but they were able to pull off a win, make a comeback as they were playing Kentucky, and starting quarterback Felipe Franks was out with I believe a sprained or a broken ankle. He suffered some injury with his ankle during the game, and quarterback Kyle Trask came back in to play and finish out the game and led the Florida Gators to a win, and they are moving up to the number 9 spot. So they are now officially in the top 10. As much as I hate to say it, I may catch grief for this. later on, I don't know. The Florida Gators played a good game on Saturday against Kentucky, so they were able to move up within the top 10, and I'm sure my brother is a Florida Gators fan, so I'm sure I'll be getting a phone call as soon as I get off the show. Oh, I heard that you were giving a shout out to the Florida Gators. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So anyway, I love college football as well, and we try to keep up with that a little bit here on the show, especially when we get time when we finish up with our high school game recaps as well. But we're going to go ahead and close out the show by giving another shout out to our social media. And I mentioned earlier that if you have a favorite athlete or maybe your favorite team that you want to give a shout out to, go ahead and send us an email. It's teamfynsports@FetchYourNews.com. And then also, we'd love to get highlights as well. If you have highlights or pictures of maybe softball or volleyball, some of those games that we unfortunately don't get a chance to always get out and catch. If you want to send those to us, we would greatly appreciate it. Our email is teamfynsports@FetchYourNews.com. It is down there in the bottom left corner of the screen. You can also give us a call there at the number is 706-889-9700, but we don't always get to that as quickly as we're able to get to emails. So, if you want to reach out to us, you can take either route, but definitely email is probably the best way to go. Now, our Facebook page is Team FYN Sports, and I want to give a shout out again. Go ahead and say all the sports shows that we have coming up this week that we have going on. We have Panther Playback that will be broadcasting live starting at 6 o'clock here on our Team FYN Sports Facebook page, and then we'll also have Gilmer Turf Talk that will start broadcasting live at 7 o'clock. Both of those shows will be tonight, and both of them will be broadcasted live on our Team FYN Sports Facebook page. Now also we have Twitter and Instagram. Both are the same handle at Team FYN Sports because we like to keep it simple and easy to remember around here. And you can follow those to get game updates during the game when we're on the sideline at the football games. We always tweet out, who's scoring when or if somebody has a big play. And then we also like to do some cool things with our Instagram page as far as, posting story updates, story highlights, and then also posting the game recaps there as well. Now, this show has been broadcasted live on our Team FYN Sports Facebook page, but we understand that you can't always catch the show live. So we do upload it to our YouTube channel is FYN TV Fetch Your News. So definitely go on there if you want to watch this show. We make a playlist for it, so you can go on there and watch the show. After it has been broadcasted live, we will upload that. And then the same goes for all of our sports shows as well. All 4 of them, or 5 of them, let's see. We have Panther Playback, the Gilmer Turf Talk, Pickens Power Hour, half hour, Rebel Wrap Up. So we have 5, the NC Sports Report, 4 in North Georgia, and 5 including the NC Sports Report. So you don't want to miss any of those. And we will upload all of those to YouTube as well after they are broadcasted live. So go and give that a subscribe so you can see all of those shows. And with that being said, I'm out of breath and we are out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show for today. I want to say thank you again all so much for joining us on today's show. Hope you enjoyed what you saw and heard. And if you have, again, any sort of shout outs that you want to share, go ahead and send it to us there at our email and follow us on all of our social media accounts. So once again, this has been an episode of Instant Replay. Week 5 of high school football coming up, and then softball and volleyball, a lot going on with those teams as well as they continue their season. So stay in the loop with us as we're trying to catch these games and as we're posting game updates, coaches interviews, photos, the whole 9 yards. That's my football every week. I use that football reference. Whole 9 yards goes on to all of our social media accounts as well. So you don't want to miss any of that. We will be back here on Monday morning next week, same time, same place, 10 a.m. on our Team FYN Sports Facebook page. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. Catch me tonight on Panther Playback starting at 6 p.m., broadcasting live from the Circuit World of Blairsville. And then also watch our sports shows throughout the week. Gilmer Turf Talk tonight, Rebel Wrap Up, let's start with Pickens Power Half Hour tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Rebel Wrap Up Wednesday night at 7 p.m., and then NC Sports Report, Smoky Mountain Conference Report Thursday night at 8 p.m. And I will catch you here, same time, same place next week. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. Thank you for joining us.